Okay, we're moving on, and we're going to talk about, we discussed phrases last time. We discussed prepositional phrases, and we discussed whether the prepositional phrases were acting as adjectives, or whether the prepositional phrases were acting as adverbs. And we learned that if it's acting as an adverb, the prepositional phrase is not replaced when you do the third person replacement test, okay? Third person pronoun replacement test. If the prepositional phrase is part of the noun phrase and it disappears when you replace the noun phrase with the third person pronoun, then we said that it was acting as an adjective, okay? And that's a test we're going to continue to use with clauses, with relative clauses. Clauses, and there's a distinction between a clause, a relative clause, we'll use the whole relative clause, and a phrase. As we discussed earlier, a phrase only has a preposition. I'm going to give you an example. On the shelf. The phrase only has the preposition and the object of the preposition on the shelf. Okay, the shelf. That's the phrase. Now, if this was a clause, it would have like that is on the shelf. Okay, the clause is going to have the prepositional phrase and the object along with the verb. Okay, it has the verb, its subject. It has the verb and the noun both. Okay, so that's the difference between a clause and a phrase. Now, anytime you have a clause like this, that's an adjectival clause, as part of the noun phrase, it's called a dependent clause. Okay, dependent. It means that even though it has a subject and a verb, okay, even though it has a subject and a verb, it cannot stand on its own. It has to be part of another sentence. It has to be, it has to stand with an independent. It has to be part of an independent clause. Independent clause is simply known as a sentence. Okay. Independent clause is simply known as a sentence. A dependent clause is part of a sentence that has a subject and a verb both, but that must be part of a complete sentence. It cannot stand on its own. And I think you won't have trouble as soon as I give you some examples. I think that you're going to understand this here in a second. So if you're confused, don't give up. Just continue following along and maybe read the chapter over again and see what we get and see what you learn. And come in before school and after school. This is something you can master and that I know you're going to be good at. All right. Let's go ahead and move here. It says the adjectival clause, and we're going to go through this so you understand. The book that I need is not in the library. You can see that the book that I need. Okay. I answered all of the questions that I could. The editorial which had appeared in the Times was the talk of the town. The man who introduced the speaker Okay, so let's take a look at these and what makes them clauses and not phrases. Okay, well, you're going to notice that there's some key flag words here that will set off a clause. But what I want to talk about is the subject and the verb. The book, I is the subject, need is the verb. So that little clause right here, the dependent clause, has subject-verb agreement, but it tells you which book that I need. Which book? The one that I need. So it's actually acting as an adjective once again. Okay, It cannot stand on its own. It's part of that sentence. And one way to figure this out is to do the third person pronoun replacement test. If the relative clause is replaced as part of the noun phrase, it's going to disappear when you use the third person pronoun, okay? So the book, obviously I would use it. It is not in the library. It is not in the library. So you're going to find that it replaced that whole adjective clause as well as the noun. It's part of the noun phrase. It was replaced by the word it. Therefore, it's acting as an adjective. This is a dependent clause that's acting as an adjective. It's a clause because it has the verb and the subject both. Okay, let's go ahead, and I'm not going to write them all down, but I am going to point them out to you. I answered all of the questions that I could. I is the subject, could is the verb, which had appeared in the Times. Had appeared in the Times, okay. Who introduced the speaker? Introduced, okay, the speaker, okay. So you can see all these things tell you something about the subject. It has the verb in it, and it has the noun in it, and so it has both the verb and the noun. So it's a clause and not a phrase. That's the only difference, okay. And of course, they're all replaced by the third person pronoun, okay. So those are examples, and you can see they happen at the end and at the beginning. Did you find a place where we can park overnight? Did you find it? Okay, we need to pick a time when we can all meet. So you can see that you can replace it with a third person, okay? All right, let's go on. And then this talks about the third person pronoun replacement test, just like we talked about earlier. Okay, and it takes you through them. The book that I need is not in the library. It is not in the library. I answered all of the questions that I could. I answered all of them. Okay, and it walks you through all of them. In the interview, we interviewed the parents whose children participated. We interviewed them. Okay. We need to pick a time when we can all meet. We need to pick it. So you can see that this relative clause here, this adjectival clause, is part of the noun phrase. It's replaced by the third person pronoun. All right, so it's no different than what we did with the prepositions, but it's different than the phrase in the sense. A phrase only has a preposition on the shelf. On is the preposition. Shelf, the shelf is the object. A clause has the verb also. That is on the shelf. It has not only that, but it also has the verb that goes with it. So it has a noun and a verb. All right, so that's the only difference. Your exercise 4.4, you're going to do the same thing that you did earlier with phrases. You're going to go ahead, and it says underline the adjective clauses in the following sentences. Confirm your answer by using the third person pronoun replacement test. We are going to refinance the mortgage that we have on our house. We are going to refinance it. Okay, that we have on our house. Okay, you can see that. On our house is the prepositional phrase, but that prepositional phrase is inside the clause that we have. We have is the verb. Okay, so you can see that it has a subject and the verb, and it also has a little preposition in there. So we would call that the adjectival clause. All right, let's do the next one. Most of the staff who work at my office will be attending the office party. Most of the staff who work at my office, they will be attending the office party. They will be attending the office party. Okay, what does they replace? Well, it replaces obviously who work at my office. Work at my office. Okay. This is the start of a clause. Work is the verb. Okay. So who is the subject? Who work? Okay. At my office is a prepositional phrase. So this is a clause, and it's replaced with they, and that's the subject, the preposition, the adjective or prepositional modifying the subject. Okay, so we can break the sentence down further, but you're just going to see what disappears with a third person pronoun replacement test, and then try to identify the clauses. Okay, good luck. If you need help, I will definitely help you out. Come before school or after school, and collaborate with your friends. And I will see you in the next video.